Thank you so much. It's great to be here. It's better with the mic? Better with the mic?
Better with
yeah? Okay, cool. It's really a pleasure to be here. I really, really appreciate the invitation and so many familiar faces and new faces in the crowd. And it's just, this space is so awesome. I'm really just thrilled. Even if I just came in here and was able to sit in this space alone, I think I'd be happy. So all the better with such wonderful people. I am curious, before we really begin, would you raise your hand if you would identify yourself as somebody who has done some meditation of some kind in the past? Oh, great. So really everybody. Great. Did anybody, well, that was basically everybody. So that's great. So I imagine that much of what we'll encounter tonight will feel familiar, but I hope some of it will be new, and we'll open up some new insights into this practice, which I really see as not about the practice, but really about how this practice opens up new ways of relating to our lived experience. Right? I know that I meditate because I want to be in my life as deeply as I can. I want to feel connected to the people in my life and the people in this world. I hope to deepen my capacity for being with the things that arise in life that are unpredictable. I often return to teaching, kind of paraphrase from a Hasidic Rebbe, the Netivot Shalom, and he says, talking about the story of Noah and the ark, he makes a very, it seems like a very simple observation, but one that is, I find, just unbelievably profound, which is that he says, you should build your ark before the flood. Get ready, right? And that's not always possible, as we know. Sometimes the flood comes, whether or not we're prepared. And even if we think we're prepared when the flood comes, we're not prepared on some level. But it's also true that for many of us, we wait until there's really a flood before we realize that we need an ark. And I very much see this practice as building an ark. That with each breath done with intention, with each moment engaged with chesed and emet, with love and with honesty, in a sense it's like putting one more plank on the ark. And we're deepening our capacity for being with whatever floods might come. And it's an end in and of itself. So it's not only for the sake of some future flood, but it's an end in and of itself. And that's actually going to kind of lead us into the main practice that we're going to do tonight. In this week's Torah portion, Mishpatim, there are many, many laws. It comes after Yitro, the story of the giving of the tablets at Sinai, and then it goes into Mishpatim, which is kind of like, after the Revelation, the laundry. You know that book? After Enlightenment, the laundry. Right. It's kind of like, you go up to the mountain, have this profound experience, but then what's next? Right? How does one bring it out into the world? And to a great extent, Parshat Mishpatim explores that. How do we build a society aligned with that experience of Sinai, that connection, that sense of purpose, and how do we harness our lives, including and perhaps especially the details, to a vision of holiness, however we might understand that. And one along the way, amongst many, many laws of many different kinds that we find in Mishpatim, we have one of a number of instances in the Torah in which the idea of Shabbat is offered. And this will be on a sheet that we'll hand out after we do some meditation together. So I'm just going to read it right now, but you'll have it. It just says, Shishat yamim taseh ma'asecha, u'v'yom hashvi'i tishbot, laman yanuach shorcha v'chamorcha, v'yinafash ben amacha v'hager. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall cease from labor. And this is the amazing part. In order that your ox and your donkey may rest, and that your bondman and the stranger may be refreshed. You may remember last week in Parshat Yitro, in the 10 Commandments, the command about Shabbat, Zachor Yom HaShabbat L'Kadsho, be mindful of Shabbat, remember Shabbat in order to sanctify it. And then there's a paragraph that traditionally we sing before Kiddush on Shabbat, at Shabbat lunch, which has a similar kind of theme to this. It's not only you and your children who are supposed to have Shabbat, but your servants and your animals. It's an amazing thing, because maybe I might easily accept that I should have Shabbat, but my donkey? What does that mean? And this is a notion that I find especially compelling and really powerful, and actually, honestly, like, quite radical, personally, when I internalize it, as our tradition often does, especially in the Hasidic tradition, in which many of these concepts are sort of internalized and spiritualized and psychologized, right, in this amazing way. And when we do this, what I think it says is, okay, there's certain ways in which you get it. You need rest, this idea of minucha, and we're going to unpack that notion a bit more later. But even in the ways that you think, for sure I can't rest there, for sure I can't let go of that, for sure that thing that I'm worried about, that I can't let go of. To me, that is what this teaching is about. Even your donkey, the thing that you would think, my donkey doesn't need a day off, right? Or in the biblical milieu, when they had slavery, even your slave was supposed to have Shabbat. So you might think, right, they don't need Shabbat. And so too, when we really pay attention to our experience as human beings, it's certainly my experience, that I notice that there are ways in which I am okay. I understand that I can rest there, I can let go there, I can soften there. But then there are kind of these other ways in which I am operating under the assumption that, no, not there. So one of the ways I find this practice so important, it's not only for Shabbat itself, Friday night to Saturday night, excuse me, but this is a practice that we can really engage with in our meditation, is a practice of minucha. And actually, our tradition says that you should remember Shabbat every day. There's something called the Sheish Zechirot, the 6 remembrances. One of them is Shabbat, and you're supposed to say these things every day, as if to say, today, Tuesday, is a day in which I can access this Shabbat quality. Not fully, all day, right? Because there's also time for work. But what might it be like if I really allow myself to enter into this quality of minucha, of rest, as deeply as I can right now? And not only the ways in which I've come to accept that it's easy for me to rest, but even in the ways that I don't think I need to rest or I can rest. One of the ways I access this in my own practice is that I pay attention to what is going on in my physical body. And this is a very helpful thing to do in meditation. So sometimes I know that when I experience some kind of anxiety or stress, I often hold it like in my shoulders. And so I know that when I'm trying to settle down and rest and let go, and soften in my practice, I pay attention to my shoulders. It's like I know I look right there. But if I'm really sensitive, I see how there are other places, like in my toes and my legs, that I can feel that constriction, that tightness. And so as we go into this practice, I really want to encourage you to see if you can let go, not only in the ways in which you may have come to accept that you can let go, but maybe go a little bit further. Like, is there a donkey inside that you think this donkey has to just keep working? Right? That issue in my life, I am going to just be stressed about that. I'm going to be worried about that, and that is what I've come to accept. Right? Is there some place like that? Maybe I can notice it in a physical way also in my body. And so on any level in which we might experience these things, we can practice. So what I'd like to do is we'll sing a nigun. Feel free to join with me, or just kind of let the sounds wash over you. And then what I'd like to do is sit together for 20 minutes. And then, do you guys often do walking meditation? Do you do it sometimes? Okay. So maybe I'll offer a couple of thoughts about walking meditation after we sit together. We'll just do that for a few minutes. And I think we'll just do it in this room. And then I'd like to look at some of these texts to open up some of these ideas a bit more. Because it's, I think, quite amazing how our tradition understands these notions related to Shabbat and Shabbat rest, which again was not understood to be kind of siloed only on actually Shabbat day. That there is the notion that we can touch upon these qualities even a little bit on the rest of the days of the week. Any questions before we start? And whatever your practice is that you do, feel free to do. What I do often is I bring awareness to my breath or physical sensations. And I think, especially tonight, I might notice really be with my physical body. And to just try to be with it, with these two qualities that I mentioned already, chesed and emet. Love and truth, right? Loving kindness and truth. Right? So on the one hand, I'm really just trying to be honest, like, oh, okay, this is my experience right now. So I'm with the breath as it flows, I'm with the physical sensations as they are. And this is a practice of bearing witness as honestly as we can. But it's not only honest, it's also loving. Right? Because as we all know, when we're being truthful and really paying attention and witnessing something, it's very easy to go to a place of judgment, a kind of harshness. So that's why we hold with the quality of emet, truth, chesed, love. And so as we're with our experience, invariably, often very quickly, our attention will be drawn somewhere else. And when we notice that, that is the most important moment in meditation, when we notice that we're no longer with the object of awareness. And then we do teshuvah, we return. We do that over and over again. And we do that with these qualities of honesty and of love. And see if you can soften and let go, not only to the degree in which you might be accustomed to letting go, but see if even the donkey can rest. Allow for the possibility that some of the things that you may be holding on to, you can release, even for this brief period of time, as though we take refuge in this ark that we're building together. And then when we come out, we'll be able to respond with a different quality of being. Yada, yada, yada.